Are you a doctor trying to elevate your practice and make your impact on the world long lasting? Ready to go from a hustler to a CEO? Man, you already know. Welcome to the Michael Buffington Show, the podcast that's transforming the lives of doctors. You ready? Let's go.
Hey, I'm Dr. Michael Buffington, and welcome back to the Michael Buffington Show. Today I want to start with a question, and the question is, does ignorance lead to apathy? Now, I'm going to give you some background as to how this question comes up for me or came up for me, and I sure hope that it sheds some light for you. So hang with me on this as I dive into what went on. Is right now I'm being coached. Be interesting if my coach actually hears this. I'm being coached by a high-level business person who has a tremendous amount of experience, but not in my profession, not in anything that I do. And we got connected through some mutual friends. And quite frankly, I'm investing, I almost said paying, like people that pay me say, I'm investing in this person at a higher level than I've invested ever in coaching. And I've invested a lot of money, cumulatively, over my career, well over 7 figures, because I've always been somebody who put money back in to the business. And for me, I was the business, so I put money back into me. I put it into my physical health. I put it into my spiritual and emotional health. I put it into my relational side of health, and I definitely put it in the business side of learning more about business in general, not just as it applies to a chiropractic practice, which I have a lot of experience in, but even multiple practices and a bigger company, but also just businesses in general. And it's given me the opportunity to coach a lot of people in a lot of different spaces and help them, because those principles do hold true at a large degree across all planes. But let me get back to this point. So I'm in this conversation with him, and I'm on this coaching call, and he says a couple things, and they didn't really sit well with me, quite frankly. Because it pointed out a gap in me. Now, I hire coaches to point out things that I don't know, just as people hire me to point out things that they don't know, ways to level up their life, ways to make more of an income, ways to make more of an impact. That's what they bring me in for. But ironically, when I bring somebody in, guess what? It feels just like it does sometimes to be coached by me. It sucks. It did not feel good. I did not like it one bit. My ego went here, which can happen. And if you're one of those people, I hope you feel me on that, right? I went into this almost defensive stance, if you will. Now, we weren't face to face, but I felt myself. No different than I would feel myself on an athletic field in the past or any other situation. You know, I felt myself go there. And even though I was aware and always have a very heightened awareness of it, I couldn't really stop it. Now, that's one of the reasons I have this coach. It's literally one of the things that I'm working on is being more mindful, being more in the moment, which I talk about here on occasion, being more elite at the way that I manage myself in all situations. And as a good friend of mine, Colin, says, being full range. Like, I know when I can be soft. Oh man, I don't even like that word, but I know when I can be empathetic to someone, and I also know when I need to come with the sword and be more warrior-ish. I kind of messed that up saying warrior-like or warrior-esque, so I ended up in the middle. But really, when I'm coming with a lot more intensity, like, I don't have to be all of that in every situation, and I've learned that the hard way. So in doing this, we're in this situation, and it comes up, and I don't know the answer. And this is in finance, and this is around some numbers, some very important things to me in business. And I'm a guy who has different documents on, ebooks on knowing your numbers and, the 5 biggest mistakes you can make in practice and all these things. I have done a lot of work in this area, but in this moment, at this high level, when we're looking at a spreadsheet of mine, I couldn't answer the question. And this wasn't some simple profit and loss sheet. It was much more complicated. It wasn't a profit and loss sheet at all. It was a sheet with data about me and different aspects of companies that I'm a part of. And when I'm looking at it, I'm like, I should know this. And I felt so foolish in that moment. And that was one of the feelings, that I was foolish. I was insecure. I felt less than. I felt really unworthy in the moment. and just felt unprepared. So I felt really shitty. Like that's how I felt. And when I go there, and what I recognized about myself, and I'm just going to put it out there to you today, when I feel that, I will tend to lead into apathy because and lean into that because I felt so ignorant. Now, not in that case, right? We all can be ignorant when it comes to certain things in the true sense of the word. The definition, not the slang or the slander, just the definition of the word. Like I was ignorant in this situation. I just didn't know. And that's why you hire and surround yourself, right? So I'm there for that. But then the emotions tell me you're all of these things, and that leads me to apathy. That leads me to not to want to take action. That leads me not to want to dig into what was going on. That leads me to when he says, hey, you got to work on this sheet, and you need to do this homework, and you need to do X, Y, and Z, and you better look this up. I'm like, I don't want to look it up. And I started to feel myself lean out, and I fought with this literally for days. When I'm in the morning, when I'm out moving in the dark, and when I'm working out. Sometimes it was creeping up during the business day because it was right there. It was still gnawing at me. And I was like, you know what? Like forget him. That wasn't what I was saying. I was saying a lot more than that. And I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm not, it's irrelevant. And I was coming up with all these reasons that it wasn't going to be something I needed to address. That was the apathy creeping in. And for me, when that creeps in, and the crazy part is, apathy for me, and most of you that are achievers and doers and the people that see this, and listen to this, you're like, wait a minute, I get shit done. Like I do things. I take action. I have momentum in my life. I'm that person. So apathy, while I was choosing it and emotionally was leading me to it, guess what? Everything I was not doing just feeds it. It just feeds the monster. It just makes me more apathetic. And then it carries over into other parts of life. Maybe I take those frustrations out somewhere else. Maybe I just start to kind of be a loaf and aloof, which isn't going to last for me because I feel miserable in that spot. So then you got this tug of war going on. You got this wrestling match with yourself. This side talking to this side and maybe another side. The roommate in my head is taking up too much space. So I pause. I do some work on it. I meditate on it. I pray about it. And little by little over the upcoming days, finally I just make a decision. I'm like, all right, I got to do it. So I sit there and I Google and I read and I study and I work on stuff that I don't like working on. And I struggled and I felt like an idiot 10 times. And I'm watching YouTube videos, just even how to navigate the sheet. I'm thinking I got to take a training class. I'm looking up, is there a training I can do? I don't have time to do this training. Why am I doing this training? I shouldn't have to do this. Like I should pay somebody to do this. I shouldn't have to do this. I'm worth more than this. Somebody else should do that. Like just on and on and on. But I sat there and I struggled more mentally than literally. But in that moment, I just continued to work through it. And I held myself there and I held myself there and I held myself there. And then I got some better answers. And then it really, more than the answers that I got, I started to ask better questions, which is always the case when I learn the most, is when I shift from all the reasons, all the excuses, and all the BS to asking better questions, and questions that before I either didn't know existed or that I couldn't even ask the question, or I become so closed off. I really chastised myself down into a spot where I was going to stick myself and put myself in the cell and lock it. And nobody else was around. Nobody else knew. I wasn't even exposed to anybody for my ignorance or lack of knowledge. Just me. So if you've ever been in that situation and it's just been you, yet you act as if you're, on public display, or somebody's fronted you out in social, or you're trying to save face with your family, your friends, your coworkers, your team members, your business partners, whatever it is, that is all rarely true. It's all right here. And that's where it was for me. So for me, ignorance does lead. So I asked the question, does ignorance lead to apathy? For me, it did. It did. And I would ask you, does it lead to that for you? It may not be apathy. Maybe it's something else. So I hope that this triggers something inside of you, because ultimately, if it puts you in a state, and yes, it's a state, it's an emotional state where you choose to not take action in your life and in your business, one or the other or both, you put yourself there. And I don't want you stuck there because I've been there and it sucks and it's not a fun place and you can get out of it. And sometimes in that state, the best thing for you to do, whether it's a shift move or a breath work or just go move your butt, like go walk, go train, go work out, go pray, go meditate, do something to shift your state away from that place of apathy to a person of action, and you will start to build the momentum up. Because where these are the questions that come up for me, like where in your life and your business are you, or how have you allowed yourself to be apathetic because you did not know? Maybe you were ignorant in this situation. I see docs do this all the time, and if you're one of them, just hear me out. Knowing your numbers. The reason that somebody doesn't want to look at their financial numbers or their bank account or their metrics in their practice and in any business is usually because they have an intuition that there's something not right there. They have an intuition that it's not going as well as they try to tell themselves, so they may do the affirmations in the morning telling themselves it's going to be all right when the numbers are telling them something different, if they got into them. But if they know, then they'd actually have to do something or make a conscious decision not to do something, which would make sense, even though it happens. It reminds me of the, occasional patients, and it'd be funny. I like it when my patients listen to this sometimes, and coming in and saying, "Hey doc, I don't want you to take any films. So you don't want me to take X-rays?" Well, Sally, why do you not want me to take X-rays? Well, I just really don't want to know. Well, what do you not want to know? Well, I just, what if something's going on in there? I don't want to know about it. Now, that happens. And it happens maybe a little more than some of you are like, really, that happens? That people think that? And it does. It's kind of the mentality like, well, hey, I'm going to go some way, so I may as well just do everything I'm doing, even if I know it's not good for my health or my well-being. I'm going to do it anyway because everybody's got to go. Yeah, it's true. We all got to go. And I don't know when the timetable's up, but I'm sure not going down without a fight because I think there's more here for me to do. And I think there's more here for you to do. So take care of yourself. Don't be afraid of the unknown. Like, more information, more data is better. Sure, does it suck sometimes? It could. But from that place, you have an opportunity to change it. I say over and over and over, if you don't know where you are and you're not real about that, you sure can't set any targets on where you want to go. You can talk about it all day long and be like, oh, I got these big dreams. I got these things I'm going to do. Like, this is my target. This is all I'm going to do. But if you're starting from a place that's false, not a chance. So where in your life, have you allowed this to occur? And then I think a bigger piece to attach to this, and I want you to sit with this for just a second. I'm going to pause. What is it costing you? What is it costing you to put your head in the sand? Now, it's easy. Sometimes you can look at money, and maybe that'll hurt and sting. Money is one of those. Yeah, it could hurt and sting, or maybe it actually shows you that you're making more progress than you ever thought you were. How about that? That's a possibility. But more important than the money, what's it costing you in time that you can't get back? What's it costing you in energy that has a cost of its own? What's it costing you in peace in your life? Because you just choose to not take action. You stay in this ignorant state. So therefore you tell yourself that that's going to give you peace and comfort to not know, when in reality, this doesn't stop. Like, I've never seen anybody that has that approach stop this. So it's still churning and burning up here, and it's a weight on you. So why would you do that? I mean, just straight up, why would you do that? But if you know the cost, maybe that's something for you to turn your should do into a must do. So ask yourself what the cost is. And then ultimately through all this, what are you going to do about it? If you ask yourself those 3 questions today, I got to believe that over the next day, the next week, the next month, whatever it is, whatever pinged you, whatever showed up for you, if you just pick that one thing in that area of your life or business and you address that, okay, it's here. What do I need to know? What am I going to learn here? What am I going to leverage? Who do I need to lean on to move me forward? And then from that place, again, like I said, what are you going to do about it? But if you know the cost, this will not fade in a day or two. You will not be able to kick the can down the road. You will not be able to punt this off into the atmosphere and forget about it. So please, 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 if you're watching this, watch it again later or something, write it down. If you're driving, stop it right now, leave yourself a voice note. What is the cost to you? And even better yet, what's the cost to your family? because I know every time that I attach a value to it beyond just myself, it becomes more important. Yeah, for me, I can always say, yeah, well, hey, it'll do this or that for me. Just like somebody earlier when I mentioned the health, they can say, well, it's not going to hurt me. I got to go somewhere. What about the family? What about the people that you could still be around for? What about the legacy that you leave there? How important are those years, those days, those weeks, those months, those years that you could be around? So I could continue on, and it all just fits into the framework of what I finish every show with, and that's with, learning daily, not only learning it, but being able to apply it, living fully, like get the most juice out of your life. That's what I'm trying to do. I know that's what you're trying to do. Let's get the most from it. And never forget that you are your legacy. Thanks for listening. Share this up. Let me know if there's any way I can help you, and I'll talk to you next time.